This is the craziest running shoe ever made, and there's a reason why it's banned for elites to wear in competition. This is the Adidas Prime-X Strung 2. It has a super foam, multiple carbon plates, and a ridiculous upper material that has never been seen on any other shoe other than the first version of this shoe, the Prime-X Strung 1. As you can tell, it's absolutely massive with around a 50mm stack height, along with a double carbon plate is the reason why it is banned for elite athletes to wear. I've been wearing this shoe for about a week now, from 5k pace all the way down to the easy paces, and for anyone who's tried the first version, this is an upgrade. It's much more stable, it is heavier, but overall I much prefer this shoe. Firstly, onto the upper, which is this extremely unique printed material, which is ultra lightweight whilst also being a bit firmer than the more traditional lightweight uppers that you've seen on other super shoes. So normally with these feather lightweight uppers, you start to feel a little bit insecure in the shoe because it's more like a sock fit. This is a bit firmer, so your foot feels a lot more secure in the shoe. It's not a big thing and it doesn't really make much of a difference. It's just nicer because it doesn't feel as flimsy, and that'll obviously help durability as well. I don't have any real complaints about the upper, but Adidas, if you're paying so much money for a running shoe, then please get better laces. These are just the standard laces which Adidas tend to use on all their super shoes, whereas other brands use more elite laces. I know it's a very insignificant thing and it might not even make a difference at all, but if you're paying so much money for a shoe, I'd like to have laces like you see on the other super shoes as well. The midsole is Adidas's Light Strike Pro, which you see on all their other super shoes like the Adios Pro 3. It's really comfortable and the energy return is phenomenal. Usually it's quite easy to compress the shoe with your hands, but because of how big it is, it doesn't really make a dent in this. So it's hard to show the density through this because of the double carbon plate and how much stack height there is. It doesn't really go anywhere when you push it, but obviously when you are putting all your weight into it on the road, that's when it compresses and you get the energy return from the carbon plate. And the multiple carbon plates, I think, counters the extra weight in the shoe because you can feel the weight, but it doesn't feel like it's a burden because you still get all the push off because of how much technology there is in the shoe. Also, the Prime-X 2 feels wider than the Prime-X 1, which helps a lot with stability, especially on the track. It feels like a completely different shoe round corners and on the track. The outsole shares the same blueprint as the Adios Pro 3, which most people know is a phenomenal shoe. You've got a bit of continental rubber at the front, and you have what Adidas is known for, not having any real texture on the bottom. It's just more of like a frictiony material, which grips the road well, even in the wet. As a whole, I do think the biggest benefit of the shoe is the stack height. This protects your feet a lot from impact, which should help you recover better in between training and races. And also you just get a lot of energy return. And I think the heavier you are, the more energy return you will get from this shoe, just because of how much you can compress this foam. And certainly for heavier runners, this will be a really good shoe. Kind of like how the Alpha Fly is as well. It tends to suit the heavier runners who have a lot more to give in the foam. Now, obviously, if you do like your ground contact and ultra lightweight racing shoes, then this obviously isn't a shoe for you because it's massive and is certainly the heaviest super shoe that I have tried. But if you do have the money and you just want to try something experimental and you maybe tried the Prime-X 1 and liked it, or you like Adidas's other super shoes, or you just want something that might give you a little bit of an edge over the rest of the market, then this shoe would be great to try. I also don't mind the added weight because with super shoes they're now ultra light. So if you do train in this and then opt to race in another shoe like the Adios Pro 3 or the Vaporfly, so you should feel like a massive weight difference on race day, which could give you a psychological boost. It's only marginal and you still might choose to race in the shoe, but it's just something that I will probably still opt to race in the Vaporfly or the Adios Pro 3 as they're a bit more lower profile. So that's what I'll be doing because I prefer a bit more of an agile shoe when racing because my 5k and 10k paces require quite a high cadence. Do I think this is necessary for people to buy? No. And that's because super shoes come in abundance now and there's so many great options on the market. And even if this is the best in some areas, which I do think it is, it's also the most expensive super shoe you can buy. So I think if you do have the money to buy it and you want to try something a bit more experimental and fun, and also something that could give you a boost in your training, then go for it. But I also don't think you're missing out on too much if you don't want to spend this much money on a running shoe. However, like I said, if you are a heavier runner, this will certainly be a massive benefit for your training. I do believe this is I do believe this is an unbelievable shoe, and I will be wearing it a lot. And it is a drastic improvement on the first version, which was still a brilliant shoe.